Good day, my happy friends. I am Drew Eric Miller, and thanks for choosing my podcast. With so much content in the world today, it's my honor to bring you just a little more happiness with each listen. I used to wonder, can I be happier? Can I live a rich, abundant life? Can I dream big and manifest my dreams? The short answer is yes, I can. After much dedicated research, I have discovered beneficial action steps, tools, and life hacks while thriving on my journey to deep and meaningful happiness. In this podcast, I am sharing my research so you too can thrive on your journey to happiness. So get comfortable with a notepad or journal, and together we will manifest happiness. Good day, listeners. Welcome to my podcast. Today we are discussing love. And can I have more love in my life? And of course the answer is yes, I can. I came up with 4 questions that I thought was relevant when we're talking about love. And what is love is one. And can love be complicated? Which, that is a really great question. What isn't love is my third question. And how do we create more love in our life? So those are some of my first thoughts on what we'll talk about today in our podcast. So let's get started. So love is a feeling. Love is an emotion. Love is how we feel on the inside towards everything, towards life, towards our friends, our partners, our relationships, our work colleagues, our furniture, our possessions, our inanimate objects that we have around us that bring us love. Love is it's not a tangible expression or tangible existence, but it's how we feel when we are with people, or how we feel when we think of people, or how we feel when we observe a place, or observe an item, or observe anything that is in existence, whether it's human or non-human or pet or anything. So in understanding that, we realize that love is all-encompassing. There is no limits on love. Love can be between people or anything that is tangible or untangible. And so the question that we started with was, can we have more love in our life? Well, love clearly is a choice. And if we want more love in our life, we can choose to have more love in our life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Love is collaboration. Love is when you're in a relationship and you're sharing and collaborating in a partnership together. Love is always kindness. Love feels good. Love feels warm and home and all the good things that we've ever experienced with family and loved ones and partners and children and pets and all those good things and feelings that we've ever shared in our life. That is a healthy view of what love is. There's a book, The 5 Love Languages. I don't know if that's the exact title, but it's about the 5 love languages. And this isn't a podcast on the 5 love languages, but I do love the fact that has gotten into the zeitgeist or the mainstream, and it just comes up in everyday conversation. People refer to it in movies or podcasts or television shows or water cooler conversations, or conversation with your friends. And if you're not having conversations about love language, then you need to be having conversations about love languages, because that is such a great example of how we give and receive love between our partners. That is partners. There's this physical and there's the emotional love, and then there's the friendship love. So then there's the five love languages in friendships, and it can just be applied to everything. So the five love languages are physical touch, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts. So that's my order in order. So for me, up at the top is physical touch and quality time. And what that means is that I respond and feel loved most when I am physically touched and hugged or kissed or patted or held hands or anything like that. And then quality time, sitting together, going out to dinner for me really is great quality time, because that's when I really feel I can get a chance to talk to somebody, have a conversation, find out about what their happiness is, what their sadness is, what their insecurities are. And so quality time is really important to me. Acts of service is huge in a partnership, because you are offering the other person your service, whether it's getting a drink or making a lunch or bringing a cup of coffee or making the bed or preparing. My partner does a lot of acts of service. For me, that's a big part of his love language. And even as cute as laying out some clothes if we're going out to dinner. So one way to really feel loved is through acts of service, for sure. Words of affirmation is I love you, I appreciate you, you look very nice today, I appreciate you, I recognize what you did. Just overall stating how you feel for the other person, and how much you recognize and appreciate what they're doing through your words. And receiving gifts is the fifth and final love language, which isn't really my love language, but it can be very important to a lot of people. I was once told by somebody that their spouse was very big on gifts and offering gifts, and felt that a good gift should be thought about over a long period of time, should be planned, should be thoughtful, should be meaningful, should take time to get there or to create or to anything. So a lot of thought got put into this person's gift giving, and they were very much interested in a lot of thought being put into the gifts that they received back. So the biggest takeaway here, and I'm not going to do this whole podcast on the love languages, the biggest takeaway here is, if you're in a partnership with another person, in whatever context that is, understanding what their love language is going to help you to fulfill their needs so that they can feel loved. And what that means is, if you know that quality time is important to them, then you need to set time aside for quality time with that person. And that even could be a family member or something. If you, the conscious act of making sure that you've set quality time aside for them is going to make them feel appreciated and loved. And the same goes for physical touch. If you are a person that is in a relationship with somebody that likes to be physically touched, hug, kiss, or any kind of walking past them, gently rubbing their shoulders, massage, or anything, that is going to make them feel loved. And understanding the love languages so that you can offer that to your spouse is going to bring the highest result of a feeling of love for all parties, for yourself and for them, because love is an exchange in any relationship between people. And so if you want to offer more love, then that is a great way to do that. Also, what is important to remember is that, let's say that you are not one that is huggy and one that is physically warm with other people, somebody that appreciates a good hug, or somebody that is kissy and warm and friendly, holding, greeting somebody and holding their hands and all that. But yet your spouse is huggy and touchy and wants that physical affection, then it's your job to keep that in your consciousness so that you can remember to offer that physical affection that they're looking for. So now what that means is physical affection doesn't come natural for you, and so you have to remember to be physical with the person that you are looking to make feel loved. So this is really important if you're in a loving partnership with another person, because if you're in a partnership with someone, the biggest thing you want to do is you want to feel loved and you want to give love. The important part here is also the giving love. So if you're in a partnership with someone that their love language, their top 3 love languages, isn't your top 3 love languages, then you have to consciously change your habits so that you can become what they're looking for. So that means if you're not a physical person, then you need to consciously remember to give that physical affection to that other person. Otherwise, they're going to feel unloved and the relationship will struggle, if not have difficulties, if not end. So that is the most important part about understanding the other person's love language, because it's your responsibility to give that to them. If you continue to say, well, that's not really me, and that doesn't make me feel comfortable, and I can't really provide that for you, then what you're saying is, I'm not interested in fulfilling your needs. You need to have those needs filled for yourself or from another person, but I'm not going to do that for you. And you need to realize what it is that you're doing when you say that, so you're withholding what's important to them and not helping them feel loved by you. And if you do that, you need to remember, is that who I want to be? I'm in a partnership with someone that I feel great love for, and do I want to be the person that is withholding love, the love they're looking for, because it's not comfortable for me. There's really no reason that you can't make shifts and adjustments in how you act in the world to fulfill that other person's needs. So you need to remember, do I want to fulfill their needs? Or am I okay with not fulfilling their needs? And if you're okay with not filling their needs, then a podcast on love and do you want more love in your life really isn't going to make sense to you, because you're already in the position of, I don't want to do the hard work to make someone else feel loved so I can have more love in my life. I just want it to be easy. And that's not what this is. This is about taking action steps in our life so that we can experience the greater happiness that we're looking for. And if love is the greater happiness that you're looking for, then you expressing more love to other people is going to do that for you. So that's the key about love languages. Not only do you understand about yourself, but you also understand about the other people in your life so that you can fulfill their needs, which in turn is going to make you happier, which in turn is going to make them happier, which makes you happier, which makes a more loving, healthy life for you, if that's what you want. So think about that. Think about where you are. I recommend that book, The 5 Love Languages. And it's a fantastic read, and it's really going to change the way you look and view love. So that is an action step. That is my first action step for you. Learn about your 5 love languages and start giving the people in your life the love language that they are looking for if you want to have more love in your life. That is your action step. So my next question is, can love be complicated? We have all had complicated, loving relationships in our life, whether it's friends or spouses or family members. You know, love is complicated, and when we're feeling and expressing love, it is going to be complicated because, you know, we're always trying to understand, you know, how do I feel loved in this situation? Do they feel loved in this situation? And then sometimes we need to have boundaries, which is the complication. Or we need to let go of somebody in our life. Or we need to get divorced. But that doesn't always mean that the love doesn't still exist. So, you know, for anyone, you know, myself included, you know, I can feel love for my ex-husband. You know, I will always feel love for him because we share 20 years together, and that love exists whether we're, you know, together or having a meal or talking or anything. It doesn't matter. I'll always feel that love for him because that doesn't go away. But the complicated part is that doesn't mean that I'm interested in still being in a relationship with him, or I'm still being interested in being married with him, or I'm still looking for his appreciation or anything else of that nature. And so yeah, love can be complicated, and the same goes with family. I mean, with family, you know, I've seen many people that love their family, but sometimes they have a chosen family. They have people in their life that they feel close to like family, but they're not their blood relatives, because their blood relatives have either, you know, done something that doesn't work for them, or done something that it doesn't make them comfortable, or acts in ways that isn't supporting to what an individual's ideals are. So In that case, you've got boundaries. But just because you've got healthy boundaries doesn't mean that you love them any less. And so, I mean, especially with family, I've seen people love their family because of their history and their time together, and they share, blood and genes and all that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have boundaries with them or healthy boundaries with them. So that is really important to remember, is that you can still love people, exes or family or friends that are no longer in your life or are in your life, but with healthy boundaries, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Love is just such a beautiful feeling and expression, and I don't think that we should ever turn our back to it. I don't think we should ever not look for love. I don't think we should ever not love the stuff in our life or the people in our life, or continue to search for new ways to love anything. That is the key. When we stop looking for love, then our life becomes mediocre or average or lackluster or anything. Our love is diminished, our life is diminished, because we are no longer in the pursuit of love. And I feel that we should always continue to be in the pursuit of love. When I think of complicated love, just recently I was reading something about Lucy and Desi Arnaz, the I Love Lucy show. I mean, most everybody has heard of that, if not watched a few episodes, even if you are a younger person. And that is a great example of complicated love, because one of the things that her daughter was saying was that when her father was dying, after they were divorced, Lucy was married, Desi's wife had passed, and now he was passing, and she called her mom and said, it's time, he's passing. And she got on the phone with Desi, and her daughter could hear the two of them, and Lucy kept saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. And he replied, I love you too. And that is such a beautiful example of love, because they did share a love even towards the end. But that doesn't mean that they wanted to be married. They weren't a good married couple for whatever reason, and probably because of his youth and their struggles and addiction and other stuff. If you've done any research on that, it's complicated. Love is complicated, but the point is that the love still existed between them, and the same goes for Cher and Sonny Bono. When Sonny died, Cher was there and spoke at the funeral, and I'm reading Cher's book now, and because of course I am. And so, but I know that Cher was friends with his wife, and Cher has often talked about that they still very much loved each other. They just weren't good as a married couple anymore, but they did share a deep, meaningful love between each other. I remember when I was young. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old. But I remember when I was young, my father was remarried, my mother was in a relationship, and there was a moment when my father, it was actually the first time I ever saw my father and mother talking to each other, because they got divorced when I was so young, when I was 2 years old. And so we were out, and my mom came to pick me up at my dad's house, and we were out in front, and my mom and dad, which is saying that is weird, my mom and dad were talking to each other, and I saw an interaction and a connection and a love between them that was stunning to me. I mean, I was 17 years old. It was the first time I'd ever seen them communicate or standing next to each other. And here they were having this conversation. And I mean, there's no way around it. My mother was flirting and my father was eating it up. I mean, she was just being flirtatious and laughing and giggling, and he was smiling and laughing and just eating up and I'm just standing there going, what is happening between the two of them? And that was something I really started to understand what complicated love means. And you know what? There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong, in my opinion, with two people after, that were once in love, feeling a love emotion for them for a moment, for a lifetime, or whatever. I think we should never stop loving everything. And if that means that you can still, even though you're married and moved on, or married several times, or whatever it is, if you still hold a love for another person that's no longer, in your life, I think that's great. I think it's great to love everything. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've heard like, oh, are you still in love with your ex-wife? Or, oh, are you still in love with your ex? Or, I don't think there's anything wrong with having love in your heart for another person. And well, I guess it's a bad example if I'm saying, talking about, are you still in love with your ex when they're married to somebody else? And yeah, that can happen. People can realize, ooh, I'm not in love with the one I'm married to, but I am in love with, okay, that's a bad example. But having a healthy love in your heart for somebody, I think, is healthy. Having a healthy love and respect for multiple people, I think, is healthy. Because I don't think we should ever try and restrict our love for anyone. Because I think that's healthy. If we want more love in our life, we have to be more loving. That is the basic. Well, I love talking about love so much that I decided to split this podcast in 2 parts. So now you have finished part 1, Can I Have More Love? And next week, you can join us for part 2, Can I Have More Love? Part 2. Thank you for listening and enjoy.